Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial video on my YouTube channel. My name is Mr. Olo and this is Vic Tutorials. So in today's tutorial video, I'll be diving into a new phase I'm trying to implement in my YouTube channel, which is logo reviews. So in subsequent videos, I'll be reviewing logos done by my students and also by you, my lovely viewer. So if you have a logo design that you want me to review, just follow the WhatsApp link below in the description of this video, the WhatsApp link that will be made in the description of this video, so that you can message me, be among my contact list, have access to me, and you can from there submit your logo and I will go through it, review it, and possibly give you corrections that will aid you in your design creativity. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. So in today's tutorial video, I'll be reviewing a logo done by my students. So now let's go back to the brief he crafted for his brand, because he's trying to come up with his own creative agency. So let's just go through the brief. So he said the word craggy is derived from two words. So number one, he said crag means a steep rugged rock, and it's an idea that comes from the name Peter in the Bible, which in Hebrew means a Cephas rock, something like that. But there are a lot of Cephas in out there, so he decided to go with that Craig. So number two, he said just something to recount the word Craig in more emphatic way, something like rocky. So now the brand name is Craggy Digitals. So the description of the brand, that means probably what the brand does, is graphic design and video recording and editing agency. So let's change it to enhance so that we can view this more clearly. So yes, there we go. So now this is the brief. So let's go over to the mood board. So these are the mood boards he gathered. He gathered the mood board from CEO Graphics, from AVS Studios, Lex. I don't know the agency that has this. This is from I Create Media. This is from Devon Graphics. Okay, that was Devon Graphics. This is Alfred Blocks, and also from Aldis Creative Agency. So this is his mood board when it comes to probably how the logo should go, the direction for the logo, and possibly the color palette he wants to go for. So which I believe these are cool. These are cool color palettes for a creative agency. Yellow indicates fun, excitement. So it is good that this is going towards that excitement, creativity, and all that. So it's good it's going through this direction. Okay. So in this other side, he also expanded his mood board down to other things and patterns and all that. So now let's go over to the next page. Now these are the sketches that he was able to come up with. So he had these few sketches right here, which I would say are not bad. Okay, these sketches are not bad, they are creative. Like I always say, sketch is just a way of you dishing out the ideas that are popping into your head at that very moment. It is very, very important that you dish out your ideas the way they are coming. Don't hold back. Just keep giving out, okay? Don't say, oh, they're already up to 10 sketches. But they can never be enough sketches. Because one thing I've come to understand in this profession is most times your sketch, sometimes your initial sketches don't even make the last cut. Like they don't even make up the logo. Your initial sketches sometimes end up not even being among the top 5 or the top 3 that you'll be choosing at the end of the day. So always give out, always throw out your sketches, because there is never enough sketches. But that doesn't mean that those sketches you threw out before doesn't work or they're not well creative, okay? Because whether you like it or not, those initial sketches you crafted out might even work for a different brand. They might work for a different brand. You understand? Because at this point you're working for a particular brand, so you're trying to understand the target audience and everything that have to go with that brand. So that doesn't mean your initial sketch are useless, because that initial sketch might work for a different brand with a different target audience, with a different goal, with a different mission and vision statement. The most important thing is for you to, give your sketch the ability to just keep flowing. They say one man's meat is another man's poison. So what works for you doesn't mean that just because it didn't work for you doesn't mean it will work for another brand. Okay, so I love the sketches he gave here, and I can see that from here he wanted to do something like a CD. That is Craggy Digitals or Craggy Digitals. So I think that was what he was trying to create here. And I also saw this D and the C. He wanted to create a sort of a negative space inside here to form the C, while the outer part would be the D, which is the digitals. And I also saw all this part. So I love the sketches. At least the direction is promising. So now let's go back to what he was able to give us. So this was his attempt at the logo design. So he decided to go for a minimal, simplistic, and a sort of a Wordmark logo type. Okay, you decided to go for a let me just say a Wordmark type of logo, and I love the direction this logo is taking. Okay, I love the direction, but there are some things that I'm not quite digging when it comes to this particular logo. I love it, for real. I love the direction this logo took. I love the direction. I love everything that the logo took. Like, this is its own work, and I love the direction. I love everything. The color palette is okay, but then we need to trash some certain, we need to deal with some certain issues that is affecting this logo. Now, here are my feedbacks. So now, the first thing that you'll notice among the logo is inappropriate kerning. I was able to draft that in because I also did this, and just to enhance the idea of this particular video. So if you look at very well, you can see that inappropriate kerning. Now, if you look at very well, you can see that the kernings, the spacings between each of the characters is not the same. Like, it is inappropriate. You can see this is a bit wider than this. This is a bit wider than this. Okay, you can see this particular one is a bit wider than this one, while this one is a bit wider than this. Then if you go further to this other side, you can see that this particular one also is thinner. The spacing is thinner than the spacing between the G and the I. Now, that was one of the first things I noticed. The inappropriate kerning was off. The kerning was off, and that was something that needed to be dealt with. Okay, now that is something you need to note as a graphic designer or as a logo designer. Always make sure that whether you are working with a Wordmark logo or you are attaching a logo type to a logo mark, kerning is very, very important. It shows how much professionalism you have as a designer. So now, going further, I also noted one thing again. Now, this is not properly aligned to the top. This particular letter is longer or higher than the rest. Now, if you look at very well, there is a bit of inconsistency in the height. Now, this particular area, you can see where this line is drawn across it. You can see that this particular part is a bit higher. So that means if you have to draw your ruler, you can see that your ruler is indicating that there's a space right here. There's a space that is not well covered. So if you draw a ruler now, you can see that there's a space that is not covered, which is very, very bad. You can see that there's a space between here and here. Okay, and that can really set your logo off, especially in a situation whereby everything about the logo is one word. It's Craigie Digitals, meaning it is not Craig or it's not Crag, and the I is totally on its own. If the I was totally on its own, that would have been different. That would have been a different case. But considering the fact that everything are together, it is good that you try as much as possible to make things look, in an orderly fashion. Now, also coming down here, you can see that there is also no space. There's also a very big line, a very big gap between this particular, I don't know how to call this particular geometric shape down here to the end of the Wordmark. Now, there's a space in here. That was why I circled this area. There was a space in here, and that also is an inappropriate way of, that's an inappropriate alignment when it comes to logo design. So the principles of designs were there to help you maintain order in your design. The principles are not really there to just constrict you. They are not there to constrict you. They are not there to restrict you from expanding your creativity. They are there to help you understand the ways to make things look professional and in an orderly fashion. If you are designing a logo, even if you want to practice anti-design in graphic design, it shouldn't be in a situation of logo design. No. You can practice that in any other thing you want to do, in another form of design, but not in logo designing. Okay, and even people who practice anti-design do it creatively. But in a logo design, it is very important that things are well in an orderly fashion. So there's a space here which is inappropriate. And also, on that thing is the I also. Yes, I also stated something here. I said the I at the end is was given a different color might give off the wrong pronunciation, making it seem like the I is separate from the rest of the Wordmark, hence making it to be pronounced separately. Now, from somebody who doesn't really know where you are coming from, I was able to understand the Wordmark because I went through the brief. But your target audience now, for example, who have no idea what you're trying to pass across, who did not have the opportunity to go through your brief, might not know that this I is together with the word. They might take it that it is separate. One, it is already one, the height is already above the rest. Secondly, you color this separately. Third, Okay, let me end it there. One, you made it higher than the rest. Secondly, you colored it differently, meaning you are kind of giving it its own entity. You're kind of making it look like it is on its own. It's part of the logo, but it's probably maybe you're trying to make this look like the logo mark of the brand. You're trying to make it look like the logo mark of the complete logo design, which is inappropriate. So people might come and think this is Craig, and that is just the thing. Not many people will understand at first glance that this is Craigie or Craggy or Craggy. And I don't really know the pronunciation of this anyway, but I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrongly. But people might end up pronouncing it as Craig and I. Craig I. Maybe they won't pronounce it as one word, they might pronounce it separately because one, like I said earlier, it is higher than the rest. And second, it is giving its own different color. So that is very, very important for you to know. So whenever you're working with a Wordmark, if at all you wanted to do something like this, let's say probably you decided to color, maybe you decide to give this everything here black, okay, and maybe it was the A. And maybe it was the A you decided to give a different color. Let's say you decided to give a different color to the A. Now maybe this would have been okay. This would have been better. This would have looked like okay. I know how people would want to pronounce everything at the same time because it is unavoidable. Okay, it is unavoidable. But coming to give the I its own entity at the back or at the end might make it look as if it is on its own, separate. It's a different entity. Or let's say you made a mistake of maybe you decided to give the C its own color. Now people will see the C as the logo mark and then pronounce this as Ragai and see the C as the logo mark, which would also set the logo design off. So it's very important to note these things. So if it is in between, inside the Wordmark, I decided to change the color, then that is cool. It's unavoidable. The pronunciation is unavoidable. People will have to pronounce everything at once. But given the fact that you are either starting your Wordmark with a different color, with a different height, or you just made the first letter of the Wordmark to have a different kind of feel, you end up making the rest of the Wordmark, you're kind of separating from the rest of the Wordmark, and that is very, 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 very wrong. So now that is another thing to note. Now, lastly, I don't understand what is going on here. Like for real, I don't understand what is going on here. Like, I don't understand the usefulness of this particular stuff here. So I feel as long as there's no extra meaning as to what this is serving, as long as there's no purpose of what this is serving, I don't think this should be here. And that was what I personally, this is a personal thing anyway. I don't know. For other people, they might find it, well, it's giving it a different, because now, for example, you can't use this as a logo mark. You can't use this as a logo mark to say, okay, maybe, unless probably you want to use it as sort of a pattern. At the end of the day, you want to use it as a sort of a pattern as part of your brand assets. That one is totally different. But giving this vibe properly here, I don't think this is working nice for me. For me personally, it's a personal preference anyway. Everybody can state their own differences. So now, going further, we have to deal with the Wordmark itself now. Now, one thing I noticed was this Wordmark was derived from a font called Contracts. Okay, it was derived from the word contrast. Then when I went online to do a research on this particular font, I got to discover that the typeface is not free for commercial use. You have to purchase the font. That was why I also went further and did the research. And as you can see here, you have to buy the font for $29.95, or let's just say approximately $30. You have to buy the font for $30 to buy the licensing of the font for $30. That's if you want to use it for desktop, like things like this, or you want to use it for web font, or if you want to use it for applications, you have to buy it for close to about $90. So as designers out there, please, it is very, very important that you research on the font you are making use of. Always research on the font you are making use of, so that you don't end up doing what they call copyright infringement. You don't go about using a typeface that is meant for only personal use, because he's trying to build a Wordmark for his brand, meaning it's going to be for a commercial or business use. So the only way he can go ahead with this font is if he purchases the license. That is only if he purchases the license. But for me, I'm okay with this font or with this typeface being used as a Wordmark. In fact, this is a very sweet typeface for a Wordmark logo. But at the end of the day, he has to purchase the license in order for him to use it. If not, you know what happens. So always research on the font you are using before you make use of it. Don't just say a font is very beautiful or it fits nice to a particular logo project you're working on and you just go ahead and use it. You might end up putting both yourself and your client in deep shit, and that would be very, very bad for your own brand and for your client's brand. So always make sure you research on the typography or the font or the typeface you are making use of. Make sure it is free for both personal and commercial use. In fact, forget about free for personal. As long as it's free for commercial, it's used for personal. It's free for personal. So always research and make sure it is free for both personal and commercial usage. It's very, very important. So anyway, now this is the end of me reviewing this logo, and these were the corrections I made. So starting, I said we have to fix the typeface. We have to first of all fix the typeface by going for something that will give us almost the same feel, but it's free for both personal and commercial use. And I decided to go with Obitron. Obitron is a font or a typeface that is free for both personal and commercial use, and it comes in these different font weights, which is the regular or the normal. It comes with medium, semi-bold, bold, extra bold, and black. So you can make use of it. And I also attached the licensing information, and you can see I got the licensing even from fonts.google, and we both know that fonts that you get from Google are usually free for both personal and commercial use. That means they are open source. That means you don't even only need to download them and use for your free and commercial purposes, but you can also modify it if you want. So now going further, I also did the research, and you can see that if you go over to this side, you can see the licensing. These fonts are licensed under the open font license. You can use them in your projects, in your products and projects, print or digital, commercial or otherwise. This isn't legal advice. Please consider consulting a lawyer to see the full licensing for detail. But anyway, the most important thing here is that you can see that you can use them in your product and project, print or digital, and most importantly, commercial or otherwise. So always make sure that you research on a particular font before you go ahead and start using it. Don't just go ahead and start using a particular font and just say, oh, I'm using a font and that is it. No. Always research on it before you use it for your commercial purposes. But if you're going about your own personal project, or you're practicing, or you're trying to see how that font to play well, if you should get a project like that, it's good, fine. Maybe when you finally see a client who is ready to go with that project, maybe you could attach the price. For example, now let's say a client comes to me and they want a Wordmark logo, and I said to go for this particular typeface because it works well for the brand. I could attach the $30 fee to whatever I'm going to be charging them for the logo design. So if I'm going to be charging them, about, let's say between $300 to $500, I'll end up charging them maybe $530 or $550 for the logo design. I'm just taking for example. So, and Nigerian currency, let's say you're going to be charging them about 100,000 naira for this logo design. That means you convert $30 to naira and you add it to whatever you'll be charging them, so that you can purchase the license and you can use it comfortably for your client. So now I was able to fixed the typeface by going for something that is free for both commercial and personal use. Now this was what I was able to come up with. So I was able to fix the Wordmark. So first, I was able to make sure everything was properly aligned to the top, and I gave appropriate kerning. You can see all the kernings are appropriate. I was able to give it an appropriate kerning. Now you can see how balanced. You can see how balanced now everything is looking. Then also, I removed that little geometric shape that was here and just left it craggy digitals. Though I still left these, but I didn't give it a different color. Okay, we're going to get to that anyway. You can see I leveled everything to be on the same phrase. I leveled everything, and most importantly, I made sure that I didn't give it a different, how would I put it? I didn't give it a different way, but I made it significant just to make the logo look unique. The Wordmark, I made sure the Wordmark looked unique, but at the same time, I made sure that it also is something that can be pronounced easily at once. And if you notice right here, with the spacing or with the kerning I gave to the digitals, I made sure that each of these kerning fell between each word. Each letter or two letters. So the D and the I came under the C, and then this G fell here where the arrow is, and so on. And if you notice, and so on, the A fell here, and I worked with that. So those things are very important for you to note. I did an appropriate kerning here, and you can see how the logo is looking very, very minimal, simple, and also unique in its own way. So going further, we will now try this in black and white, and you can see how well it worked in black and white. You can see how the kerning is making the logo look appropriate. So going further, we can now check out this particular one. Now here, you can see how it now looks like. When I now apply that yellow color right here, you can see how the logo is looking. Very simple, easy. It passes the information across properly. It's creative. One thing people need to note about the logo design isn't that it's not about the logo that makes it creative. What makes a logo creative isn't only what you're able to come up with, but the professionalism behind the logo is what makes a logo creative. The concept is part of the creativity of a logo, but the professionalism inside. And what I mean by professionalism is the alignment, the kerning, the spacing, everything inclusive makes a logo creative. Not only the concept, but every other thing, every other attribute makes a logo creative. So you can see how the logo works well here. And I also tried it here in the white background. Okay, but the only issue I have here is the yellow doesn't really contrast well with the white, except it is in close proximity. But let's say we zoom out a little bit. The only thing you can see now is the craggy, but you can't see the yellow, or you can see that there's a yellow line there, but you can't see the word written there. So it's very important to note these things. But if you look at this very well, though you can't still see it very well, but at least there's a possibility that if you get it to this point, you can still see the digitals. And if you get this, you will have to strain your eyes in order to get what is written there as the digital. So it's also important to note that for you to put your colors into consideration, and whenever you are working on a logo, make sure you use good contrasting colors. So another thing you need to note is with this particular typeface, I could actually modify this. Okay, and let me delete these parts. Okay, let me delete this. Now I can actually modify it because this Orbitron typeface comes with what I call it comes with its own glyph. So let's say, for example, now we decided to, okay, so let's say we decide to work on this. Okay, let me make this separate and just write this out. For example, we decide to spell craggy with the typeface. I'm trying to show us something right here briefly. So we decide to Orbitron, let's give it a color white, let's expand it a little. So now we have the craggy, for example. This is without kerning, without proper kerning, but I want to show us something. Now, one thing you need to note is this particular typeface has its own, what I call it, glyph. It has its own glyph in the sense that you can actually come down here, okay? Let me put it in the middle. You can actually come down. Okay, when you highlight everything together, you can see this small arrow showing down here, this small pointed stuff. And when you click on it, you can see different glyphs for it. Now you could implement any of these glyphs to make your logo mark to make your word mark unique. You can see you can implement any of these how would I call it? Any of these I don't really know how to explain it. Any of these particular glyph to make your logo or to make your word mark a bit more creative. So let's say we are going to go with that. So you can see you can actually make this creative. Now you can go ahead to even modify the G to maybe slant with the A. So you can see you can play around with this. Okay, so these are ways you can actually make you can make use of this particular font and make it work well for you in your in your design flow or your logo design. So I think that will be the end of this tutorial video. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs button, and so that more people can view this and learn from this particular video just the way you have learned. And please, if you're a newcomer and you have not subscribed yet to our YouTube channel, please I beg you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as this motivates us and it helps us to grow also. I'll be making sure that I drop more videos like this for us to learn better. And also, please, you can share this video with other creatives so that they can come and join you and learn as you've learned here in this particular tutorial video. So I'll be ending this video here, and I'll be leaving you guys here for now. And until the next time we meet, stay safe and stay creative. Make sure you always push yourself harder than you were the previous day. I wish you all success in everything we do, and until the next time, stay safe. Namaste.